I'm traveling over 8,000 miles through 24 states over 3 weeks only using Amtrak.
Welcome to Portland, folks. I got the ultimate local tour and discovered some hidden gems. Thanks to my friend at Cars.Succ on Instagram. Go check him out, he posts some pretty cool content. I also ventured out on my own, soaking up the sights of Pioneer Square, getting lost at Powell's bookstore, snagging some souvenirs, and encountering some of the eccentric locals. As I say goodbye to the City of Roses, it's on to the next leg. In parts of the US, there are regional train services that run between cities multiple times a day instead of just the once-a-day long-distance service. And currently, I'm in a part of the country that has this. Welcome aboard Amtrak's Cascades. The service runs from Eugene, Oregon, with most trains ending in Seattle. However, some of them continue on to Vancouver, British Columbia, and Canada. My trip takes a little over 3 hours to get from Portland to Seattle, and we would start off from where we left off, in Portland Union Station. Portland Union Station is a really lovely station that originally opened in 1896. It has a store that serves hot food, snacks, soft drinks, and gifts. Just be aware that they are quite pricey, so keep in mind that if you want to get food, it's going to be cheaper to get it on the train. But it does offer a good assortment of hot food, which would be really nice if you're taking a long distance from here like the Empire Building. But more on that in a future vlog. I'm here to take the Cascades. From waiting in the station, I could tell my train was going to be jam-packed. The line queuing for the train wrapped around the station, and I was wondering why until I realized this was one of the few regional trains that does the run all the way up to Canada. Either way, after a very short mechanical delay, I was boarding the train for my journey north from the City of Roses to the city known as the Emerald City, Seattle, Washington. It's time for the rolling stock recap! Let's talk about rolling stock, or essentially, what type of train cars a train has. The Cascades is a regional route that operates with different rolling stock than the long distances. The type of train car that I was in on the Coast Starlight earlier in my trip consisted entirely of two-level superliners built for longer trips. I thought that I might get lucky on this trip and get an icon of the Pacific Northwest in Iberia, the Spanish-made Talgos. These are incredible train cars that are very modern and are different from most of Amtrak's rolling stock. Unfortunately, to my disappointment, I was seated in Amtrak's very bland and probably their least enjoyable rolling stock known as the Horizon cars. Now, even though these are considered Amtrak's worst train cars, they still feel leagues better than anything that the airlines offer in coach, and honestly can be even better than what they offer in business class. These Horizons are set up in a 2-2 configuration with a little less legroom than the long-distance seats, but it really doesn't matter because I'm only on the train for about 3 hours, which is perfect as we cross over the Columbia River and into our first stop, Vancouver, Washington. If you're going to book this route, just keep in mind that Amtrak services both Vancouver, Washington and Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. The views of this trip are really enjoyable, no matter which side you're sat on. You're going to get the river and mountain views on both sides, and both have this Pacific Northwest charm that you just simply cannot find anywhere else in this country. After about an hour of relaxing and scrolling on the perfectly fine Wi-Fi that's offered on some of these regional trains, I went up to go get a snack from the cafe car. There's something that's really amazing about these regional trains in different parts of the country. They will often have local snacks or dishes that they serve on board, since they don't have to follow the national cafe menu that Amtrak has. And this variety is much appreciated as I was going to get well acquainted with the national menu. I got myself a personal favorite snack from the cafe car, that being a bag of Tim's chips, but they also offered other local items such as a clam chowder and local beers and wines that did look pretty good. Not gonna lie, I did do a little pre-gaming before the train and didn't really feel like getting another one on board. Soon enough, we were pulling into Tacoma, just to the south of Seattle. To me, after being on a train for 28 hours straight, this 3-hour ride felt like nothing. But it was pretty fun to see the Tacoma streetcar in the distance. Before I even knew it, we were pulling into King Street Station, and this ride was coming to an end. Lucky me, I could look forward to actually having some time to spend in a city I'd never been to before. Entering King Street Station as an Amtrak passenger is really a sight to behold. It's truly an older station kept in pristine condition, and is just as impressive inside as it is outside. Be aware that in order to see the inside of the station, you need to have an Amtrak ticket. They are very strict on this. This goes for Portland Station as well. As much as I wanted to ride an e-bike from the station to the hotel, the bikes were either all dead or in a giant pile that I didn't want to mess with. So I surrendered into calling an Uber to my hotel, checked in, grabbed a sandwich from the corner store, and to be honest, it was one of the best sandwiches I've ever had in my life, and crashed, excited to spend some time in Seattle the next day. My first morning in Seattle started off with a mission. I needed to get a new charging cable for my camera, so I woke up and headed out to go pick it up. I stopped right by one of the icons of the city, the Space Needle. It was really cool from the ground, but I was not going to pay $40 to go up to the top. And then I hopped on a pretty obscure transit system to get downtown. More on that system in a future video. I picked up my cable, plugged it into my power bank, and went exploring the city. My first stop was Pike Place Market. I avoided the overpriced chain coffee shop and went to a Chinese bakery and picked up some pineapple bread. I know that this isn't a train food review, but this stuff was a 10 out of 10. I saw some fish get thrown, and then I went over to the library to go and check it out. It's a really amazing public space, and I even picked up a short story from a machine that printed them out. After that, I went back out by the waterfront to go cycle along it. I enjoyed the incredible views and then went back to my hotel to rest. But not before I caught an absolutely breathtaking sunset over the Sound. As I crawled into bed, I couldn't shake the anticipation of what lied ahead for me. The next evening would mark the beginning of an epic 52-hour train ride. I closed my eyes, fully aware that the next 3 days were going to be an extraordinary test of endurance, and oh boy was I right. Stay tuned for the next chapter of my adventure, where things are about to get even more thrilling. Thank you for watching the second episode of this series. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support me on other social medias, I have my Instagram and TikTok linked down below. And if you want to support me on Patreon or buy some merch, I also have that linked below. Thank you so much for watching.